is Norvell doing a good enough job building up this roster in the transfer portal through high school recruiting to secure his future at Florida State?
I think he's doing as much as he can with 8 wins in 2 years. I think that's kind of the situation that we're at. I think he's literally hit his limit of his ceiling of how far he can go with, and this is just staying stuck with the 8 wins. If he can go to now, you get 8 wins this next year, you see a whole 180, and that helps him a whole lot more in that regard. Just for specifically staying here, I think that, he's kind of surprised us, and maybe the staff alone has kind of surprised us with how well they've done on the recruiting side. I think they've made some good inside changes. They've made a lot of great additions. I think Florida State's new addition off field, Derek Ray, has been a really nice addition, not only for transfer portal, but for recruiting and just management overall. That's something that Mike Norvell is trying to build a whole another staff on the outside of the field that you see at other SEC schools that help a ton, like Alabama. There's a whole another staff that takes care of everything off the field that Michael Alford is working with Mike Norvell and the administration to help support this program and get it back to where it needs to be. I just have, right now, and I'm getting this from recruits and what we're hearing, I just think they're now looking for wins. Mike Norvell does great with families. He's talking with moms and dads. He's doing a great job recruiting. He's able to land at that time the number 1 player in the country, all that kind of stuff. That's a whole other different discussion, but that he had that guy locked down. And I think there's a lot of other guys that put Florida State in the top 3, top 2 that usually in years past that they were never going to make the top 5, top 10. But, there were now guys with top tier talent. We're talking elite prospects in the country that are putting Florida State almost at their number 2 if they weren't able to go. I mean, you look at Meyerson Mims coming to visit, that seems like Florida State's definitely between Georgia and FSU there. You don't usually see that a ton, and that helps with Alex Atkins being on the staff. But I just think he's kind of hit his max here, and I think he knows that too. And now it's just all about winning. You want to stress so much about recruiting and doing all this once you are able to make past a bowl game and bring in 8 wins, even 7 wins for some of these guys. They see the uphill climb, like Mike Norvell says. The climb is what's going to bring them some of these success on the field, and definitely in the recruiting room, which is essential in college football.
I think they've done a good job building this roster. I think you hit some of the really great points that they are maxing out, kind of what's given to them, right? What they're dealing with. But also, I think when you look at team building overall, just the way college football is going, the way offenses are being built now to be very successful, I think it's fair to say that they've failed to attack the perimeter in the way other schools have, right? Just look at some of the top offenses, whether it's in the SEC or just look at those Final Four finishers in the college football playoff every single year. They have great perimeter players, great wide receivers, great playmakers. And I guess for me, when you look at Mike Norvell's tenure so far, having the lack of playmakers, that's the real failure I see so far, because you can have a dominant running game in college football. You can dominate on the ground. You can build a really good game, through that. But you also need to be able to take advantage of corners. You need to take advantage of stretching the field. Just as Mike Norvell's offense goes, he needs those players who can stretch the field out, who can get after defenders. And I think the issue for me overall is that, they're building some parts of it, right, Logan? The run game is really good. The offensive line is improving in the way that I think we all think they should improve. They're heading in the right direction. We all believe in Alex Atkins, right? But there's just certain spots where they haven't done a good enough job, and they really haven't improved drastically, especially that receiver position. So I think for me, you're right. They are maximizing, I think, what's given to them in a sense, but also they just haven't done a good enough job attracting wide receiver talent, attracting playmakers, because just with the way offenses are going now, you need to have those elite upper and top tier playmakers.